welcome back, everybody. It is indeed miraculous that we're running early, so we'll take full advantage of that. We're going to turn now to a response to the earlier session. So we had a wonderful session from the Dicastery on Promoting Integral Human Development, including preceding that the blessing of a papal message read by Sister Alessandra, and her important remarks to us in the preceding session. Now we will turn to a response from Caritas Internationalis, and it's my pleasure to hand over to Victor Janina, who is the Director of Integral Human Development at Caritas Internationalis, and who will also announce a very important surprise guest. Victor. No, it's over to Victor, yep. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Jan. First of all, to thank the organizers of the conference for inviting us. It is a real pleasure, but also a great opportunity for the Caritas Confederation to be here to share not only what we do, but also to share with you some of the concerns we have in light of the current landscape we are facing in different parts of the world as a result of the trend of cutting foreign aid from the global north countries. But I would like to start just by highlighting that some of a fact that many times is not properly or not in-depth analyzed is that the discrepancy we find between the amount of means and wealth we have in the world today and the terrible conditions we find for billions, more than half of the global population. Any of us in this room, our quality of life by far exceeded the one of Louis XIV, because we have antibiotics, just because of that very simple fact. He used to, for his diseases, he used to get, sapphires and diamonds, and imagine, the effects in his health. So the king, the personification of what a king was having a not extremely above of the average condition compared to his subjects. But right now, with all the means we have at our disposal, with all the wealth we have, having 4 billion people living in the conditions they live, it's a complete moral, if not failure. Some failure would be an euphemism. So this is something I think we need to reflect in depth. And then I think, especially because of what started to happen some months, 18 months ago, the reduction in the foreign aid is being accompanied with an exponential increase in military expenditure. So right now you have that governments are just spending $2.7 trillion in defense budgets. And they don't have, or they say they cannot afford the 0.7% of their GDP for foreign aid. That, as a former diplomat, I can share with you, the 0.7 goal was reduced, the reduced outcome, thanks to John Bolton when he arrived as the US ambassador to the UN, and it reduced it from 2.1, that was the original goal, and he reduced it to 0.7. So not even this very reduced outcome is being met now, and the impact these cuts are having are massive, and they are hitting, of course, the poorest, but they are hitting heavily those who are the very few ones ready and willing to help the poorest, who are the people on the ground, that many of them belong to faith-based organizations, just like the ones we are gathered today here. And many of these organizations are facing terrible decisions because they have to cut staff because they cannot afford having enough personnel in these extremely affected countries, situations, places. And you have, on the other side, this perfect storm combination of conflict, climate change, foreign debt, load over very poor countries that cannot invest anything in health, education, rise of population. So you have this perfect storm situation, and you have all this wealth, private and also public. The public one going to be spent in defense and armament, and the private, we don't even know how much these people are keeping in their coffers. But anyway, with this, I think I just wanted to give a kind of a broader perspective of the context in which we are, in order to think that part of our job, if we want to push the WASH initiative agenda, is also doing this both not only advocacy work with the ones in the public and private realms that can reverse this, but I think as Pope Francis and also Pope Leo have called many times, we need to do prayer for the conversion of the hearts of those who are in a position to reverse or to change these trends. So these people need to realize that there are other ways to do things for the well-being. So we have to lose this fear of helping others. It's something that can be an exciting experience for some of them. So I think I just wanted to provide this to all the activities we have clearly identified that we have to do. I think we have also to bear in mind that we need to do this, yes, advocacy, but also the spiritual work to convert the hearts of those who are in a position of changing the context. And with these initial remarks, allow me to give you the nice surprise, as Jean said, we have to share with you. With us, we have the presence of His Eminence Cardinal Tarcisio Isao Kikuchi, Archbishop of Tokyo, and President of the Caritas Confederation. And Your Eminence, if you like to share with us a couple of words, thank you.
Good morning. I am the Cardinal Isao Kikuchi of Tokyo. I don't have to explain where Tokyo is. Everybody knows Tokyo. I just arrived yesterday for another function, and I happen to be here today together with my Secretary General because he's going to give the talk, and I have to watch what he's going to say. In 1995, I started my work as a Caritas volunteer in Japan, and I was sent to the refugee camp in Eastern Congo, Rwandan refugee camp, and that was my beginning. And after some time, people started to tell me that, oh, Father, when you go back to Japan, tell the people that we are still here. We are all forgotten. And that we are all forgotten. That is always hearing again and again and again whenever I go, even in Japan, after 2011 earthquake and tsunami, I visited the area, and the people complaining after 6 months of the disaster, the people started complaining that the people started forgetting us. And many years ago, maybe 25 years ago, I was member of the board here in the Caritas Internationalis, and there was a discussion about major disaster. What is a major disaster? At that time, internet was not so much popular, and so the people are saying, oh, if the CNN covers the story, that is a major disaster. But still then, after some time, people started to forget. At the beginning of the report, people were excited, but after some time, people started to forget about it. But it doesn't mean that the incident or the events are disappeared. People are still there, forgotten, but they are still suffering. So we need some people who to continue persistently to try to work for their cause. So otherwise, people are just forgotten by the many. And it is nowadays, it is much more accelerated because of the existence of the internet, the SNS world. Maybe you are so excited one day, but the following day, people just forget about it. So after the people forget about it, then there are many people who are forgotten and left behind suffering. So we need people who consistently try to support the people for the small causes or basic causes. And this WASH initiative is one of these basic requirement for the betterment of the people to protect the human dignity. So it is very necessary for us, those who are working based on the faiths, the religious faiths, especially the Christian faiths, to continue to work for the betterment of the human dignity, even though the majority of the people in the world are not interested in or not giving the attention. Maybe we are working behind the huge stories of the war here and the conflict there, but it is very, very, very important. The basic needs of the people are most important to promote the human dignity. So thank you for all of you for your commitment, and I appreciate that I had the opportunity today to be here, though it is very short, but also to hear what the Caritas is doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Your Eminence. And now it is my pleasure to give the floor to Alistair Dutton, Secretary General of Caritas Internationalis, who also has a long history and a very rich experience of working on the ground in humanitarian or heavily affected humanitarian contexts. Alistair, you have the floor.
Gracias, Victor. Hola, buenos días todos. Je parle en anglais. I'm going to speak English, so don't worry about your headsets. Sorelle e fratelli, buongiorno. Okay. I'm just trying to include all of the languages, but I'm afraid I'm going to go to English. As Victor said, I'm Alistair Dutton. I'm Secretary General of Caritas Internationalis. I was elected 3 years ago, and it's the joy of my life to be with Caritas. I joined Caritas 30 years ago. My first role was in the refugee camps for Bhutanese refugees in Nepal. But before that, my first degree is physics, and I'm actually chartered as an engineer, and I came into the sector really as a water and wash expert. So I see many jackets and ties around the room, and I'm going to say I have never seen wash people in jackets and ties. So you will see I'm ready to get out in the field and do what needs to be done. So, and I mean, I'll talk various bits of my experience, but we all know how central water is to life. Oh, come to me, all you who are thirsty and overburdened, for I will give you rest. We know that the rule of threes, how central these things are to the human existence. People can survive for about 3 weeks without water, without food, for about 3 days without water, for about 3 hours without the internet, and about 3 minutes without oxygen. And we know that these 3 things are absolutely fundamental to us, okay? We also know it's not just a drop of water, but that we need adequate water. We need enough water. The quantity is significant, but also the quality of the water. Waterborne disease is still the greatest killer, perhaps next to malaria. They're always close, aren't they? But the greatest killer in Africa today is waterborne disease. So the importance of water, but making sure that people get enough of it, and that when they get it, it is safe for them to use, is so important for all of us. There are so many references to water in the Bible. I just started with a quote from Isaiah, which Jesus quotes then himself. But one of the most beautiful ones is that account of the Samaritan woman at the well. And Jesus sits down exhausted, dusty, in a hostile place and asks a stranger for some water. The woman can't quite believe it, but it is the woman who gives Jesus the water. And the role of women in all we do, and in the provision of water, and the maintenance of our water resources, and the sustainability of our water efforts, the role of women is absolutely crucial. And then we know that the story ends with a transformation from the need physically for water to the spiritual water that will never run dry. But it starts with those basic needs of we can only last 3 days without water. We also know that there are many uses of water, and if you, just from a humanitarian perspective, you go to the sphere standards and say, what do we need to do? What's entailed here? You'll immediately get some bright spark will tell you that it's 20 litres of clean water within 200 metres, 300 metres. I'm dialing back in my mind now. But the immediate amount of water, you're told, is actually for personal use in the hut, in whatever shelter you've provided for people. As soon as we introduce washing clothes and the use of the household, it goes up. If people start to have animals, if we're into husbandry, then that goes up. And then when we get to agriculture, obviously it goes up again. And we have to think about different sources of water and different uses of water, because we're not going to purify water for everybody and then use it to grow crops. There are different uses and how we think about water within that. Just going back to the Samaritan woman, we also know how water is not only essential for life in the physical sense, it's often the center of social life. So how many times, well, I can say how many times I have been into a village and the hum of the village is all around the well. And very often there will be the well or the standpipe or whatever the source is, and a line of plastic jerry cans, all orderly lined up with those beautiful yellow and blue colours scattered along. And then the women standing under the trees waiting for their turn. And that's where they catch up with one another. So much of the social life is under the tree when they go for the water. How many projects have we done and then we evaluated them and the women say, well, it's great, I don't have to carry the water anymore, but I don't get to catch up with my friends. I miss walking to the water well every day because I used to have a couple of hours chat on the way there and back. Now my husband expects me to work all the time. So, or the kids no longer go and they say, well, now the kids are always under my feet. At least I could give them something to do for a couple of hours. So we know how much it's part of the social life, the fabric of the community. So when we think about the integral human development of peoples, water plays all sorts of roles, not just to sustain human life in its most basic sense. Excuse me. We who are engaged in development, certainly we in Caritas, we in the Catholic agencies who are working on development, but all of those who are engaged in development are looking at many issues around how to provide water, how to manage water, how to conserve water. Lots of examples from clinics and schools and elsewhere about how do we catch rainwater. How do we put it, and very often that will be in a big black plastic barrel, we've all seen them, and all of a sudden that provides a water source, water that was already there. And if there are any drillers in the room, I'm going to ask for your opinion, for your forgiveness from the outset. The last resort is to drill. The number of times I was there when I had a drilling team with me, and they go, we're going to drill a borehole. I said, why are you going to drill a borehole? There's a stream there that runs 365 days a year. Why are we going to perforate the aquifer when we have surface water we can use? Why are we going to go to a river that's 2 miles away if we can catch rainwater off the roof and put it in a tub? So we have all sorts of different ways of managing available water, conserving water and using it. We also, and some of the work that I won't say I'm proudest of, but has perhaps made some of the deepest impression in me, is the conservation work that we can do to literally bring land back to life. And I have a couple of examples at the forefront of my mind as I talk now, which are in Ethiopia and Eritrea, where, and I have the pictures, I haven't got a presentation, but I have them on my phone if anyone wants to see them, but I could show you what is a rocky gully where there is just scrub struggling to grow in that valley. And in the valley, we then did, and this was various different, so CAFOD and SCIAF and CRS were involved in the Ethiopian scheme and in Eritrea with others. A series of small check dams. Another thing, when you tell engineers to build a dam, they think of building a wall 100 miles high to catch all the water. That is the worst thing to do. We build a series of check dams going up the valley, and very quickly all of those check dams fill with silt. That is the most fertile soil the people can have. And that silt, the wall stops the water, the silt holds the water, and it starts to percolate out into all the land around it. And higher up the valley, when it starts to get steeper, you can then do terracing, and you can do tree planting and other planting to hold the land, stop the water, and give it time to soak into the soil. And very quickly, the aquifer comes back up. So I was at one of these projects a few years ago, and where there had been no running water outside the rainy season for 30 years, since the area was deforested, there was now a stream all year round. And every year the flow in that stream was still getting stronger. All of the land that I said where the silt collects, people were farming on that. It can be quite a wide area and extend, if it's a fairly shallow gradient on the river, it can extend for miles upstream, and all of that now was fertile pasture, fertile land where they were growing. So there are many, many ways that we can conserve water, use water, and bring the land back to life and help people have the water that they need in various different ways. The other great thing about those, because then we have to, so we've got agriculture there, but people can draw water from those sand dams, and it's pre-filtered clean drinking water. They can take that home and it needs no treatment to use. You can also, if you put a pipe through the wall of the dam, you can put a tap on it, and you can immediately control that, both for people to take, or you can build troughs and animals can come off it. So you can think about how to manage all of this. That land 10 years ago was barren scrub. And we can do this. We can totally do this. And as we think about climate change and the more erratic nature of rains, the longer periods of dry season, the more we can hold the water in the land, which is intrinsically capable of holding water. The least effective way of storing water, by the way, is in a reservoir. Well, probably there are less effective ways, but it's not the most effective way. Keep it underground. The evaporation from underground is almost zero. In a reservoir, it'll be evaporating, so you're losing water there. So always, how can we work with nature to work back with people? And how can we relearn all of those lessons which were around and were there before? I'm very conscious, I just want to go on to healthcare. We were ahead, we're probably behind on the schedule now, Jean. So I'm going to look to you for forgiveness as I plough on regardless. No, I'm going to keep it brief. But one of the absolute basic principles for all of us must be that in our engagement with peoples, they must never be harmed or worse off as a result of coming to us. So when we think of healthcare and the provision of healthcare, we have to do so in such a way that we make people better and healthier and we don't damage their health. So if there is an issue with clean water in a health centre, you've got a real conflict. And as health professionals, of course, then you get into the Hippocratic Oath, and there's a whole other issue to that. But so the importance of clean water in healthcare is even higher than the kind of basic day-to-day stuff, because then you've got people in need of healthcare coming for help, and we cannot jeopardize them any more than they already are. And we have to recognize, firstly, that the churches still provide 40 to 60% of healthcare across Africa, and in other continents a significant proportion as well. So the role we play in healthcare is enormous, and that gives us an enormous responsibility to make sure that we can go on and do so safely. We've also done lots, we know, to improve the facilities in our health our health centres, in our hospitals, etc. So lots of progress has been made. And I really want to, at this point, acknowledge the roles that the religious congregation, particularly the female religious, play in healthcare globally. In terms of primary healthcare, community healthcare, and that basic healthcare at the point of need, it is the religious who play an enormous role in that. One of the greatest sadnesses to me, and this is part of my history, is that the government of Eritrea confiscated all our clinics in Eritrea, and now they cannot run them. And the Comboni sisters were doing amazing work, and other congregations, but largely Combonis, were doing amazing work in Eritrea. The church still needs to step back into that space because we know that governments are struggling to do this. And at the same time, we need to be innovative. But innovation isn't technology. So as I was saying about when do you catch water, when do you take groundwater and use groundwater? You only, surface water. You only go underground when you've exhausted all other options. And then as we think about once you have to pump water, you've almost failed, is another of my maxims. Because gravity is the free and it's the easiest thing on earth. So use gravity, for God's sake. The number of times I've seen a pump system from downstream and you could take water upstream, it's just use gravity. So it's how we intelligently innovate to really get nature and our relationship with the world working for and with us, rather than trying to control it and use it in technological ways. And the final thing I would say is, sorry, not quite the final thing, because that's all about water sources. I'm not going to go at length, but anywhere you put water in, where's the dirty water going to go? Because that's your next vector for ill health. So what are you doing with the wastewater? Grey water and black water, and you can separate the two so you don't have to treat everything as sewage. You can have runoff or grey water going one way, and you can reuse that probably, but the black water will need different treatment. And of course the sanitation that goes alongside it to make sure that our own practices are reinforcing the healthiness of the water and the way we treat our sanitation. The final thing I was going to say is all about sustainability and the ability to maintain and how we make sure that when we have been involved in an activity, there is a maintenance schedule, and that people know how to do that. They will save the money in advance so that when it breaks, they can repair it, and they know how to go about it and get that done. How many hand pumps have you visited or seen where there's no longer water coming out, and all it needs is a 50-cent seal? That's all it needs, and a technician to spend half an hour on it. And villages are without water today. Don't go and drill any more boreholes until you have fixed every hand pump that's out there, because that is the cheapest way of giving water to much of Africa today, is simply repair and maintain what we have already. I've spoken too long. Thank you very much. As you can tell, water is a great passion of mine, so it's a pleasure to be with you all. Thank you. We're going to head down.
Yes, exactly.
Well, thank you very much to both Cardinal Kikuchi and Alistair. Yes, I mean, it's sometimes not easy to take notes from Alistair's speech, but they are very helpful. The ones we managed to keep are very helpful in our work. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Cardinal. And now I'm going to call, to the podium, three representatives from Catholic Relief Services. most of you might know, Catholic Relief Services is the U.S. partner of the Caritas Confederation that does work abroad. You have Catholic Charities that is also the partner, U.S. partner to the Caritas Confederation that does work within the United States, and CRS, Catholic Relief Services, is the one that implement programs abroad. So with this brief distinction, I would like to call to the podium to Jean-Philippe Debieux, Senior Technical Advisor for Water Security at CRS, to François Canguela, Technical Advisor for WASH in Institutions, and lastly to Dr. Tony Kastelman, Director for Program Impact and Quality Assurance. Please, as you know, in this segment we will learn from CRS how they are implementing on the ground the WASH initiative and their outcomes and the challenges they are facing. So with this, I think we can start with you, Jean-Philippe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor. Good morning, bonjour, buongiorno to everybody. We were told that we have a little bit of time, so I will take the occasion to share a personal note. Alistair mentioned about the joy of his life. I thought about it. I will not be able to answer to that question. There are so many. But there is a joy for this week is to be with everybody here and to be in this town, I don't know if it's in the rest of the world, if you call it the same. In France, we call Rome la ville éternelle. So coming here is it's something special, and being with you as well. Thank you. If I dared sharing my joy, I would share another one. I would do the same as a film director called Roberto Benigni, who received an award in '98 in Cannes. If you don't know this expression of joy, I invite you to go to your YouTube channel and to search Roberto Benigni '98 Cannes. You will see how to express joy, but I won't do the same because I'm not able to do it. So I will start by a simple statement. We've heard it several times, but we need to repeat it. Without WASH, there is no self-healthcare, period. This, I think, is well anchored in our mind. And that conviction is why WASH in healthcare facilities is a core pillar of CRS water security strategy. We think it's important to have a continuum. WASH at home is essential, but also the continuum is to ensure that people have good access to WASH services in key institutions. And those key institutions, they are definitely schools and health facilities, because it's where vulnerability is highest, where exposure to infection is high, and optimal hygiene conditions are essential at all times. Over the past 5 years, CRS, in collaboration with multiple partners, has supported WASH in healthcare facilities in approximately 500 health facilities, with a strong focus on sustainable service delivery that was also mentioned by several of the speakers today. Not only short-time fixes. The short-time fixes are important. The immediate, maybe they allow to have systems refunctioning, delivering what they're supposed to deliver. It can be water, it can be access for people who need to take a shower, who need to use a toilet, but this is not sufficient. So alongside WASH improvements, CRS works with partners to strengthen planning, budgeting, and management, applying a systems-based approach. This ensures that health facilities can maintain wash services over time and that these improvements also contribute to stronger national health systems. We believe also in working with our Catholic partners who manage health facilities that we cannot create islands of success without working within a national health system. So also, I remember that some speakers mentioned about collaboration today, and collaboration is what allows us to be a contributor to a national health system. And since 2019, CRS has also been proud to serve as a partner in the Vatican-led initiative to accelerate WASH in health facilities. Through this collaboration, CRS has contributed to WASH infrastructure development, service delivery, management strengthening, and sustained technical assistance, helping facilities maintain safe service levels long after installation. So after speaking for a few minutes, I would like to bring what I said to life. So we'll now share a short video that features testimonies from Ghana, the Philippines, and Haiti. And we'll hear about the frontline workers in health facilities, health workers, but also others. We need to celebrate also all the people who contribute to provide healthcare of quality. So they are not only the healthcare workers, they are also people who prepare food for the patient, people who make sure that surfaces are clean, that disinfection is going on. So we are going to celebrate those people and to hear their testimonies on how they contribute to a real and tangible impact of improved WASH services on quality of care, dignity, and health outcomes. So together they remind us why WASH in healthcare facilities is not an add-on, but a foundation for safe, dignified, and life-saving care. So can you launch the video? Thank you.
Mas napansin ko po unang-una, syempre yung kalinisan talaga, naging improve po na nagkaroon po ng wash area dito sa amin. Dahil yun yung pinaka-importante dito sa amin sa mga lola, yung kalinisan.
Na kailangan lalo nung nagkaroon ng Tungay Wash Program na nakita namin na yung pag-aayos lang ng basura. Tapos paglalagay ng tamang lugar para ang mga tao ay ma-aware na dapat maghugas ng kamay.
In the past, we need to cruise from work and trek a bit of distance to go get water. But now with the introduction of WASH, we use water to clean the environment, washing of hands to ensure that there's no cross-infection.
On ne peut pas parler de santé sans de l'eau. On a seulement besoin de l'eau pour laver les mains, pour porter le corps, pour laver le linge qui finit servi dans la salle d'accouchement, dans la salle de consultation, tout ça. Donc, on pense avec de l'eau, à pile bagaille qui a pile changement qui peut être.
Anytime I always come here, the environment is always good. I get water, soap, and Tiro to wash my hands to make it hygiene. There's toilets for us. I always enjoy coming here. The environment is welcoming for us.
Moi, elle est vraiment agréable. So, tout va normal. Je vais me juste entrer, puis il fait des jeux. Avant de sortir, je n'ai vraiment pas aux autres. Je vais faire des besoins comme toilette et pipi. So, imagine papier hygiénique. Comme l'MD fin fait besoin de essayer comme ça de vraiment dominer.
Knowing very well that we are in rural setting, wash facility is not commonly used by the clients. If there is information I can give somebody so that the person will not be sick, it's very, very important to educate people on the uses of wash facility.
Nous faisons activités de sensibilisation, nous faisons éducation, nous faisons des rencontres avec nous, nous parlons ensemble avec eux, nous faisons des visites domiciliaires.
Na sasabihin na hindi lang dito sa ating facility na magkaroon ng health promotion kahit sa bahay nila at kahit doon sa mga kasamahan nila sa trabaho o doon sa mga bahay nila, kailangan din na sabi nga healthy lifestyle. Big starts with washing of the hands.
Thank you for your support, very appreciated. And now I'm going to hand over the floor to my colleague François Kangela. He is going to introduce himself better, but François Kangela is a technical advisor who has a long experience in supporting WASH in healthcare facilities. And if you have any questions about how to ensure sustainability in WASH in healthcare facilities, what are the 5 essential domains of WASH in healthcare facilities, how to conduct a WASH fit assessments, or other technical questions, you will have all the answers with, on top of it, extreme kindness. So up to you, François.
Yeah, thank you, Jean-Philippe. Good morning, buongiorno, everybody. As already said, I'm François Kangela, a technical advisor for WASH in institutions at CRS. So, Your Eminences, Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, it is an honor to share the result of 6 years of technical accompaniment under the dicastery-led Vatican initiatives on water, sanitation, and hygiene in Catholic relief healthcare facilities. Since 2019, in my role as technical advisor with the CRS, I have worked closely with the diocese, congregations, and Catholic healthcare facilities teams to strengthen WASH and infection prevention, not as a stand-alone project, but as essential foundation of quality care, human dignity in the Church's healing mission. Today, I will briefly highlight where we worked, how we worked, and what lasting changes have emerged. Between 2019 and today, CRS provided technical assistance to improve WASH in 75 healthcare facilities in 11 countries under the dicastery initiative. In addition to that, during this time, we supported another 395 public and faith-based healthcare facilities to improve WASH. Those were often in contexts fragile contexts, remote, resource-constrained, saving hundreds of thousands of vulnerable patients each year. Our aim was never to replace the local leadership, but to strengthen the diocesan and facility teams to WASH services, so WASH services could be sustained from within church's structure. My technical support focused on 4 integrated functions delivered mainly through a circuit riding approach. I provided structured WASH and IPC assessment to identify critical gaps in infrastructure, governance, and service delivery. I also provided practical training and capacity building for health workers, cleaners, managers, and diocesan teams, translating international standard into local practice. I provided hands-on technical accompaniment with a repeated field visit, mentoring teams on operation, maintenance, supervision, and accountability. I provided also simple digital monitoring system using tools like M-Water, shifting WASH data from reports to routine management decisions. This repeated accompaniment provided essential. It built trust, reinforced learning over time, and strengthened local ownership, essentially in challenging context. Across countries, we saw a clear and consistent pattern of improvement. We have seen reliable access to safe water, often through solar-powered system, functional sanitation and hygiene infrastructure, improved healthcare waste management, including segregations and safe zones. Facility workers were trained and got confident, including cleaners and waste handlers. At facility level, we saw WASH improvement plans that were monitored and adapted regularly. I can provide some example here. In Kenya and Uganda, WASH governance improved at diocesan level with a designated WASH focal point. In Malawi, now all supported facility, 9 supported facility, manage the full WASH service chain with the routine audit and maintenance. In fragile contexts like Haiti, South Sudan, and DRC, WASH systems helped restore safety and service continuity despite insecurity. Those were not just infrastructure upgrades, they were system changes. By now, in 2026, 3 outcomes stand out: safer care environment with reduced infection risks and restored dignity. One example I can provide here is the neonatal infection dropped from 14.8% to 0 at Catholic Mutito Catholic Healthcare Center in Kenya after reliable water access. And this was documented systematically by sisters within 2 years. Stronger institutional capacity with the WASH embedded in routine facility management and accountability structures. We noted also church ownership with the diocesan leadership reorganizing WASH as a pastoral and moral responsibility. We also learned some crucial lessons. Infrastructure alone is not enough. Operation and maintenance must be planned from the start of the process. Supply chains matter, and data only matters when it is used. Above all, repeated accompaniment, not one-time training, is very, very essential. So, in conclusion, the Vatican WASH initiative demonstrates that sustainable WASH in Catholic healthcare facility is achievable even in the most difficult context when infrastructure, capacity, governance, and monitoring are treated as a single system. I'm deeply grateful for the trust placed in me to serve in this role, and look forward to continuing to support the Church in protecting health, dignity, and life through strong WASH systems. Thank you.
I just wanted to take very briefly the floor because otherwise we can, I can forget, but I see how, an alignment on the importance of the ownership of the project by the community from what we hear from Cardinal Kikuchi and Alistair and what Jean-Philippe and Francois just said, the importance of the community playing a starring role and how the protection or the effort to respect the dignity of the people we are serving is precisely a source of cohesion, but also a source of energy to go ahead in spite of adversity and hardships. And also, Francois and Alistair very much in line with the need of contemplating the different stages and the different possible challenges since the very beginning of planning the initiative. That was all. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. As Jean mentioned at the beginning, one of the purposes of this meeting is for groups to share our commitments moving forward as to how we will continue to advance WASH in healthcare facilities. So I just wanted to take a few minutes following my colleagues Jean-Philippe and Francois to share what CRS's commitments are over the coming years. We commit that WASH in healthcare facilities will continue to play a central role in our work in several different ways. Our activities as other members of the Caritas Confederation and many groups in the room today, our activities are driven and motivated by Catholic social teachings. And WASH in healthcare facilities is very strongly aligned with all of our guiding principles. Just to highlight one today, is option for the poor, which means we always try to prioritize the needs of the most vulnerable, of those who are most in need. An important way we follow this is through WASH in Catholic health facilities, because as we know, many of the patients who come to Catholic health facilities do not have access to other health care and often are the most vulnerable. So we commit to continuing to provide direct technical support and, where we can, financial support to Catholic and other faith-based facilities to establish and strengthen WASH infrastructure and services along the lines of what Francois has said. We also commit to doing this not only in faith-based services, but, as Francois mentioned, in government and public health systems as well, and to continue to establish linkages and exchange, learning, and data sharing between faith-based facilities and government facilities. And I know our colleague Bud will be sharing tomorrow some of the ways that we can continue to do those linkages. CRS has a very robust health portfolio outside of and including WASH. We do a lot of work on malaria, on maternal and child health care, on HIV, and nutrition. And as Jean-Philippe declared at the beginning, we recognize that without adequate WASH, the public health community will not achieve the health outcomes that we set out to achieve in those programs. So we commit to strongly promoting WASH as absolutely integral to health programming. And this is a really important avenue for us moving forward. I think many of you know who work in this field. There are WASH communities and a lot of WASH advocacy and WASH efforts. And there's a much larger public health resources and funding and community. And making sure that WASH becomes part of that public health community and becomes part of, as Jean-Philippe said, any public health intervention, especially as it relates to health facilities, is absolutely critical both to the health outcomes and to the objectives of our group on WASH. So that's a commitment that CRS makes in our work in HIV, malaria, and our other health areas. As Francois mentioned, CRS is increasingly working through systems. We do a lot of direct delivery of services, a lot of direct delivery of goods to those who are most in need and those who perhaps are not accessing government services. And we also increasingly are looking at how we can strengthen systems and make sustainable and scaled systems in all of our work, not just in WASH. Well, in our discussions, Jean-Philippe has often pointed out that WASH in healthcare facilities is in some ways a system within a system, because you have the WASH system and it needs to fit in and be part of the health system. So another commitment that CRS makes is we will double down as we look at these sorts of systems to making sure that the WASH system is part of that strengthening, at the health system strengthening and within WASH systems. We look at doing this in a number of ways. One is, and I know we'll be hearing more about this later in the meeting, but by strengthening what are called circuit rider networks, where there will be individuals that can support and build capacity, support quality, accountability, management across a set of health facilities. This is work that colleagues have already begun, and this is something that CRS is committed to continuing to work on over the coming years. Francois also mentioned data systems, and this is increasingly important as well. And this is another commitment from CRS's side to establish and strengthen data systems such as mWater, which is a system we've begun using, certainly in all of the facilities that we work in, and where possible to support other systems as well with data management. Lastly, on the systems piece, we will work with partners, learning partners, university partners, and others, many of whom are here today, to identify learning and quality improvement approaches. Francois recently completed an exercise looking at what are the factors that contribute to sustainability and then inhibit sustainability. Alistair spoke about the importance of sustainability as we look at this work. And there are some very specific factors in Catholic health systems that contribute to that, especially, interestingly, on the accountability and the management side within the church structure. And we need to build on some of the existing tools that exist, such as WashFed. So looking at those sustainability and quality improvement factors is another thing that CRS, with our program quality units, commit to working on. So we commit to supporting all of this work to the best of our ability. We do not commit to leading it, because we will always collaborate with local partners, with dioceses, local sisters organizations, Catholic health departments and commissions, national and local Caritas organizations, local NGOs, and health facility staff on this. We will learn from each other, but we will support their leadership locally in advancing this work. And CRS will provide the support that they request from us. Finally, as Victor and Francois and others have spoken about, we commit to doing all of this work as a way of upholding the human dignity of healthcare patients. And not only of patients. Francois referred to trainings that he's done with cleaners and with healthcare workers. I recall a couple of years ago, Francois carried out a training of cleaners in health facilities in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And he shared photos and testimonies, and they demonstrated the pride that a lot of the cleaners felt receiving the training and playing such a central role in this work. None of them had ever participated in a training or had been part of a program before. And their participation in this and their feeling that they were important and they were central to this work gave them dignity and gave them bestowed a pride in them in their role as cleaners in healthcare facilities. So throughout these efforts, CRS also commits to placing the dignity of the patient, the healthcare worker, the cleaner, the human being, front and center throughout. Those are our commitments going forward, and I should say we welcome and look forward to working with all of you in the room as we all move forward with this important work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony. And also, I think it's important to highlight that is key to take care of those who help people in need. We need to do our best efforts to treat them with dignity and to treasure and appreciate and thank the big effort and the extreme valuable work they do. I think sometimes people take it for granted, but I think it is important to have this all the time in mind. So I just want to thank the three of you for having shared the experiences CRS has and the commitment you have. And with this, I would like to invite our two next speakers. C'est un plaisir pour moi inviter Father.
It's a pleasure for me to invite Father Yael Germain from Caritas Haiti. Madonna, c'hanno paura che non gli diamo il canale.
And I invite also Rossellini Fariaggi Murota from Caritas Zimbabwe. And while Rossellini reaches the podium, I would like just to share, for most of you know very well that Caritas it's a global confederation, but I would like just to share with you that we are a confederation with 162 national members, and we are present in 200 territories. And we implement a wide variety of humanitarian and development programs. So in this opportunity, we're very lucky to have Father Gilbert, who is going to share with us the experience of the WASH initiative in Haiti, and also Roseline, who is going to share with us the experience of Caritas Zimbabwe in the implementation of the WASH program. Mon père, la parole.
The floor is yours, Father Il Germain.
CRS is not working in silo, and already said that now is not about statistics, is about testimony of from those who are working on the field. So I have some questions here. I'm going to ask to our colleagues from Caritas Haiti and Caritas Zimbabwe. They will be telling us what happened with their experience. So for Haiti, questions will be asked in French. I hope the translation system will work.
Father Yvel, I have two questions for you. First one. The gathered assembly would like you to describe progress done in improvement WASH services in the hospital and clinical and private structures in the management by the Caritas office Haiti, and also actions that have been taken to keep the services so that the structures continue to have access to water and sanitation. Thank you. Good morning to all of you. Allow me to begin posing a very simple reality, but very concerning. Currently, in Haiti, in different areas, is struck by uncertainty. Access to healthcare services, unfortunately, is not guaranteed, and the center is under the responsibility of the local courier. Thousands of families, this means, with mothers, children, and many other people that have no access to. This depends on the survival of the centers with the support of Caritas and the partners of the donors under the supervision of CRS. We have tried to invest to improve services that have to do WASH, water, sanitation in 8 dioceses and 8 departments in Haiti. At first sight, this might seem pretty technical, but in fact, in the context of Haiti, WASH is the basis itself of the healthcare system, because without water, we cannot wash our hands, we cannot wash the instruments for surgery, and we cannot even give birth in a safe way. And without sanitation, a healthcare system can develop many risks rather than being a place where one is looking for a cure, but it becomes a risk. So what we have done together has been very concrete. Today, these facilities are cleaner, safer, and they work fully. But apart from this, these words, allow me to tell you in a very straight way that we have transformed fragile systems in spaces of safe assistance. The personnel uses practice of very sanitation. The wastes are managed in a safe way. Water is available. We have access to water. Sometimes, for the first time after many years, and this completely changes things. Because it is when a patient comes to a health center and it's clean, the patient himself or herself wants to go back to it, and the patient, therefore, has trust. And this is fundamental in a context where fear, uncertainty, and also displacement is constant. Trust becomes a determining force of access to services of health services, and we have seen an important increase of the people who attend these, who will go to these centers. And I come from the center of healthcare center that has been benefited from WASH services. Today, we have been able to see next to the Dominican Republic, talking with them, that women went to give birth in the Dominican Republic. Still today they do go there, but now people more now can stay, say, in the Sacred Heart of Dios and don't have to move to the Dominican Republic to give birth to their babies. So that's an important result. We also have seen some facilities that have been abandoned that are now starting to work and also provide a lot of hope. 80% of the facilities have WASH services that work. But behind the numbers, there is a human reality. There are people, so say for giving birth, avoided infections, and protected lives, and saved life. And this is my answer for the first question. Thank you. Thank you very much, Father. The last question to you has to do with the following point. Caritas works in the local church in order to make sure the promotion of health and for vulnerable groups. So, and other activities for the Assembly would like you to describe to us quickly the efforts of coordination with diocesan Caritas and also with managers of the healthcare facilities and to improvement of WASH there, and whether there's a need of a support and what type of support you would need, if so. Thank you very much for the second question, Françoise. So these outcomes are not by chance, but they're based on a solid coordination, a local presence, and the ability to act in extremely difficult situation. But it is specifically in instability, a situation that we are able to monitor and coordinate and continuously offering services. A well-trained team with a person responsible for Caritas, a person of the diocesan Caritas, and a representative of the facility in order to guarantee the monitoring. This is the proof that investments do work, and the proof that the results are possible, that it can be achieved also in a fragile context. But today, allow me to be transparent 100% with you. We are in a turning point, a critical turning point, because if the infrastructures exist on one side, their duration is jeopardized. And so as far as the professionals that work with us, they work with a very unstable salary. They're lacking instruments, and therefore there are insufficient means, and uncertainty, unfortunately, is part of every action. Therefore, yes, we do try to do our best, but we try to very much do our best in order to ease suffering. And to the question that we must ask ourselves is quite simple. We have did we put an end to this progress? Because without support, the services will going to be delayed and the quality is going to drop and the trust will disappear. And then, so when trust disappears, patients will stop coming to our facilities, and therefore the system will collapse. This is why our call today is a call to act, a clear call, an urgent call, but especially a strategic one. We don't start from scratch. The infrastructures are there, the teams are there, and also the outcomes are there, but what is needed now is to consolidate, to strengthen, and extend what we have done, though we need a financial stable commitment in order to keep up the services and for human resources, logistics support in order to guarantee that the supply of technical material is going to continue and the local capacities, and also invest in WASH. Haiti today doesn't mean simply to fund some structures, but facilities, but to keep open facilities, health, to avoid infections and also to protect and save lives. But especially invest in a system that works, that already works, and that is asking us simply to be strengthened. Each contribution that you will provide is not just going to be an infrastructure, but also would allow to keep a service. So it's going to support the community. And allow me to conclude by saying the following: in a context where so many structures are collapsing, these facilities are still there, up and going, and they resist because they are supported, and because they are useful. They resist because they are necessary. Today, you have the opportunity to do much more than just support a project. You can contribute to keep the access to healthcare services there where they risk of disappearing. The needs are clear. The impact is essential and immediate. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you very much.
Yeah, would like to add something to Father Yvel's statement that also Haiti received the support because of coordination between CRS, Caritas, Internationalis, and Dicastry. Those three bodies were really engaged to make sure that despite the insecurity context of Haiti, people and healthcare facility received the assistance. Thank you. So now I'm going to ask my colleague here, Rossellini. The audience here would like to know if you can briefly describe the progress made in improving WASH services across all hospitals and clinics under the management of your archdiocese. Over to you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to you all protocols observed. I will share briefly the progress.
Grazie, volevo condividere brevemente quello che si è seguito, le nostre iniziative nel settore sanitario, quello che abbiamo visto negli anni, e attraverso il supporto che abbiamo ricevuto è l'aumento delle esigenze di igiene e sanitizzazione negli ospedali negli anni recenti, in particolare nel centro dove è stato implementato il progetto. I nostri occhi sono stati aperti, il nostro sguardo rivolto verso l'essenzialità dei servizi di WASH per la cura, la dignità, la sicurezza e la salute dei pazienti. Sulla base di questi successi di Mutema, il forte supporto che abbiamo ricevuto da CRS, abbiamo avviato altre iniziative in queste strutture con la Caritas, lavorando a stretto contatto con la Commissione per la Salute. Adesso stiamo migliorando attivamente.
In additional hospitals and clinics. Together with our partners, we have made concrete improvements, which include installing solar-powered boreholes to improve access to safe water, setting up rain harvesting systems with adequate storage, renovating toilets for both patients and staff, increasing the number of hand-washing stations, and strengthening healthcare and waste management facilities. So this has marked major steps and progressive towards safer, cleaner, and more dignified health facilities across the Archdiocese of Harare.
Thank you. So we would also hear about the leadership and management of Catholic healthcare facilities and what you are planning in the medium and long term.
Oh, that's a mouthful. So I will look at how we are achieving or working towards unified leadership and management of Catholic health facilities. As already I have mentioned, we have a commission under ZCBC, the Health Commission, and also within the diocese, which is responsible for monitoring and ensuring that all our health facilities in the Archdiocese maintain the similar standards. They identify the different capacity gaps of staff and try to support them in however they can to ensure that good service delivery is provided. These Catholic health facilities are also led by leaders who are grounded in the social teachings of the Church and the mission of charity. We have standard governance systems which include advisory boards, reporting lines, shared operational policies that are applied consistently across the mission hospitals. The commission, that is the Health Commission, as I have already alluded to, they provide regular monitoring and supervision to ensure quality, accountability, consistency, and service delivery. Also, the facilities operate under dual accountability reporting, both to the Health Commission and to the government health authorities, which also assist in certain support that comes from the government to the Catholic Church health facilities. Quarterly, there are coordination meetings which bring all the 15 health facilities together to strengthen communication, peer learning, and the unified leadership that we desire. There is also a referral network and institution collaboration across the facilities to enhance continuity of care and efficient use of specialized services. We have also initiated fundraising and resource mobilization locally for smaller needs that the health facilities need to pay for, and this has been it's baby steps, but it's slowly building up to the whole. And I move on to medium and long-term priorities in the Archdiocese. So we envisage to strengthen financial sustainability and transparency, including use of improved financial management systems, and this has already started, and the health services and the health service facilities are slowly getting into this new financial management system. We also optimize human resource deployment, ensuring that specialist skills, including WASH technicians, are efficiently shared and deployed across facilities to maximize coverage and continuity of services. So there is a lot of exchange of staff and peer learning across the health facilities. To expand on corporate partnerships, philanthropy, and local fundraising efforts, including parish initiatives and special appeals. So currently our Archbishop, for the past Lenten season, we have been fundraising to secure a dialysis machine, which will be set up at one of the health facilities, and referrals will be made to patients who need that system. So the local authority has also done a lot in trying to mobilize resources for the healthcare centers. I think that brings me to the end, and I want to also agree with the previous speakers that ensuring that these WASH health facilities that we install in the health centers not only serve the sick people, they also serve the communities around them, especially where there is safe access to drinking water. And as a result, for them to be sustainable, there is need for community involvement so that they can either put together a small fund that they can use to repair and maintain the water sources. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Father Ivel, and thank you very much, of course, Rossellini. I think, that is something that we keep repeating with when we have the opportunity to take the floor in international fora, or we are in contact with high-level decision makers. First of all, we do not arrive to a place where there are problems. We are already there, sharing these problems with the people affected by these problems. And that is something that makes not only Caritas, but all faith-based organizations a completely different kind of organization. But also, when everyone thinks a particular context does not have a solution, you see that these baby steps, as Rosalind called it, start bringing hope and open the possibility for new beginnings, precisely because of how people moved by the hope and the conviction that the darker the times, the more possibilities we will have to see the shine of the light, is also one of the issues that differentiate us from other kind of organizations, and that open the possibility also to think in mid and long-term perspectives. So thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, Father. And we will continue with the last segment of this panel. Francois, thank you very much, and of course, thank you very much. Just for the last segment of the panel, I would like to call two representatives of organizations that have a partnership agreement with the Caritas Confederation. So I would like to welcome Sister Mary Haddad from the Catholic Health Association of the United States, and also I'm welcoming Camille Gripon from Bon Secours Merci Health. No? Sister, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you today. It's by chance that I'm here, and I want to explain to you that I'm actually part of a meeting of the Catholic Health Association. It's an annual meeting that we bring Catholic leaders from the United States to Rome, about 40 leaders, for a program of helping them deepen and understand their role as a leader in this Catholic health ministry. And as I was sitting here listening to you this morning, I thought it's unfortunate that I didn't bring those leaders to this conference, because truly this is what it means to be leaders in Catholic healthcare throughout the world. So thank you for your commitment and what you bring today. Let me start by saying, 6 years ago, we were at the cusp of the start of a global pandemic. And many of us can sit back and think about the tragedy of all the lives that were lost during that pandemic. But we also must not forget the learnings from that experience and the understanding that the health of one country has an impact on the health of another country. And so if we're truly going to be able to improve the health of a population, we must improve the health of all populations. We are interrelated in this global community. My background is education, social work, and healthcare. And I have had the privilege of serving in all three of those various ministries. And I understand how important it is to approach our work with an understanding of how those three things must be interrelated in the work that we do. In the United States, over the past 10 years, we have come to a greater appreciation of understanding how social conditions impact the health of the communities that we serve. Safe housing, access to healthy food, clean water, and so forth. So we have to understand that fundamental to those social conditions is clean water. And this is what you are about here. That if we are to improve the well-being of our communities, those communities must have access to water, sanitation, and hygiene. But yet today, nearly 1/3 of people worldwide receive care in facilities without reliable water, sanitation, and hygiene. And these gaps undermine patient safety, they increase risk for infection, and deny quality outcomes. They have devastating impact on marginalized communities. Those communities are more vulnerable than those who have access in most developing countries. Now, faith-based providers have a particular responsibility. In many low-income countries, they operate 20 to 40% of the healthcare facilities, with the Catholic Church being the largest of the unified providers. For us, WASH is not merely a technical shortcoming. It is a moral imperative. Our faith impels us to ensure the inherent dignity of every person. A facility without clean water or adequate sanitation falls short of that very basic call to care. A few years ago, certainly after the pandemic, our board of the Catholic Health Association felt the need to articulate a new vision for Catholic healthcare. And our vision says that we will elevate bold change. We will impact bold change in order to ensure human flourishing for all people. And in order for us to do that, we have three goals. One, access to care. Two, reimagining care. And let me just say a bit about this. We recognize the fact that the current health delivery system in the United States is unjust. There are too many people who are being left out, and we also recognize that that system is not sustainable, and many of the services that are a part of that system really do not advance what we call whole person care. So we look to WASH as foundational for us in making those goals and advancing that work. For without it, infection prevention fails, maternal and child health outcomes suffer, and pandemic preparedness weakens. So investing in WASH is an act of responsible stewardship. Simple as that. It strengthens the entire healthcare delivery system. So we at CHA are committed to convening our members and our partners to raise awareness and broaden their understanding of this global reality. Several Catholic health systems, and you'll hear from one in a moment, support and contribute to Catholic Relief Services, Catholic Medical Mission Board, and Caritas in advancing WASH. Moving forward, CHA will continue to work in partnership on the development of sustainable improvements in Catholic health facilities around the world, particularly with those areas of greatest need. And the third goal of CHA to advance that vision is called United for Change. We recognize the fact that we have to broaden our old parochial partnerships and expand our relationships with others of goodwill who have liked values such as ours. So not only in the United States, but globally. We will continue to convene and bring members together, implementers, researchers, and church partners in order to advance, to share best practices, to reduce duplication of services and help coordinate efforts, and to ensure that what we do is aligned with Catholic social teaching and with the guidance of the Holy See. We stand in solidarity with the Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development, and I will add that I am honored to have been asked to recommit for another 5 years to be a member of that dicastery. So I assure you that the voice will continue to be stated there for those meetings. We work together in order to advance the healing ministry of Jesus. That is the basic fundamental of mission for Catholic healthcare across the world. And in that, we will ensure that every place is a place of healing, where people are treated with dignity and respect, and where hope is the fundamental nurturance of the people who come to us. Only then will we truly advance human flourishing. So I thank you for the opportunity to be with you today.
Thank you very much, Sister. So much to think about how health can be commoditized and the very nefarious effects of this in the long term and in terms of exclusion of people to basic health services. Y bueno, ahora no puedo desperdiciar la oportunidad de...
I have a Spanish speaker now next to me, so I give her the floor. Camille, I give Camille the floor. Without further ado, Camille, thank you. Thank you very much, Victor. I would like to speak in Spanish, but I'm going to be speaking in English.
Bonjour y buenas tardes. Thank you to the organizers, the dicastery, and the co-conveners for this wonderful space to be together among colleagues. I think I'm the last speaker before lunch, so I will take 2 minutes to give my statement. It's really an honor to be with you, and such a deep honor to have Sister Mary as our leader in Catholic healthcare. What a privilege to be at the same table with you, and thank you so much for what you're doing for Catholic healthcare. The organization that I represent is a member of CHA, as Sister Mary mentioned before, and I have the distinct pleasure to work with CHA's leader in global health, Bruce Compton, on efforts related to global health. The organization I represent, Bon Secours Mercy Health, was founded by 3 congregations. The Sisters of Mercy is one, the Sisters of Bon Secours, and the Sisters of the Humility of Mary. And our mission is to extend the compassionate ministry of Jesus to those who are poor and vulnerable throughout the world. For over 20 years, we've been actively working in WASH at the community and the healthcare facility level. Primarily, our focus has been on securing safe drinking water in Haiti and in Peru, and also to focus on preventing waterborne diseases. At the healthcare facility level in Haiti, we partner with Midwives for Haiti, who works on safe deliveries and have standards for hygiene to ensure that there's prevention of infections during the birthing process. Only recently, thanks to the dicastery, and really amplified by Bruce Compton, David Douglas, and Mark Brinkmoller, and one of our board members, Peter Maddox, who wanted to be here, did Bon Secours Mercy Health decide to support WASH and Catholic healthcare facilities and commit to continuing this support for many years to come. Since Bon Secours has a long-standing relationship with Catholic Relief Services, especially supporting disasters throughout the world, we turned to CRS for a partnership. CRS has our trust and delivers excellence in WASH and many other programming. And I'm sure that we've all witnessed today their impact, their technical know-how, and their organizational integrity, which for us, since we're not direct implementers, was so important to have a relationship with them. So we are very proud to be a small part of the great work of CRS. And related to WASH and healthcare, our focus and our commitment is going to continue to be in Haiti and in the Philippines. Obviously, the commitment to WASH in the community level will also continue in Peru. In the Philippines, and you saw a beautiful video, I hope that it will be shared widely from CRS. We've supported in a small part the St. Camillus Health Center, WASH and healthcare facilities, and we know that thanks to this effort, St. Camillus has the necessary infrastructure in place and improved WASH standards that will benefit patients for many, many, many years to come. Bon Secours Mercy looks forward to continuing to support the work of CRS and increasing our commitment financially in the future to the Philippines and beyond. Our commitment really extends the good work of the Church and our responsibility for global solidarity for those who are most vulnerable. And I'll just make an important parenthesis for the just handful of donors that are in this room. I really look forward to working, hopefully collectively with you, to understand those 63 facilities that Jean made mention that are not currently being supported, and how can we come together as a donor body as well to do more collectively. Thank you, and I look forward to the continued fellowship.
So it's 1 p.m. Sharp. We should be very proud. And with this, I'll pass the microphone to Jean. So thank you very much to all of you for the panel.
Wow. Let's turn it on here. Yeah. Good. So going from running early to running late, but with what incredibly rich tapestry. And I know there are many amazing conversations over lunch, seeded by what we have heard. We're going to take the liberty of your time to allow 15 minutes of comments and inputs from the floor. We will have many other opportunities this afternoon and the next couple of days, but you have been extremely patient to be listening on the listening side all morning. So if I could invite brief comments, please state your name and your organization again as we become more familiar with each other. And if you could maybe focus for now, in this short period of time, focus any remarks in relation to what we've heard this morning. So Catholic healthcare facilities, the Dicastery's initiative, and so on. Please, there are mics that will come to you if you raise your hand. Who would like to make some comment or reaction? Please, Maria. Michaela Maria is right here. If you'd maybe like to stand up. And just if I could ask everybody to speak very briefly for now so that we can hear from a number of people. Yeah.
Ok, grazie a voi, grazie.
Thanks, and thanks for this opportunity. I'm Maria Luciano for CJAMS. As I've heard today, it's deeply reflecting the very goals of our organization that are hinging on human dignity, solidarity, vulnerability, healthcare, and education. The work that has been performed by Kapimba for the organization that is not present today was precisely that of casting light on all the values that we have been exploring during the sessions. And I really would like to thank the outstanding speakers as to what they have expressed. The dignity of the person should always be at the center. And that's really an important aspect on which we should all work together, providing opportunities to be set in the right conditions on an equal level. So health, dignity, and the quality of resources. I had prepared some questions and I wanted to extend to some speakers. One of these is in the context that are hit by the climate crisis, how can technological choices reduce the vulnerability of rural communities and can grant access to clean water constantly during periods of droughts? This was a question, and then we heard, as Professor Rossellini said, the management of a precious resource like water not only requires technical skills, but also administrative and management skills. So how Caritas is supporting context to define the rules to manage funds to solve problems related to the communities due to the access of water. I don't want to be long for the sake of time, and let me wholeheartedly thank you.
Thank you so much for those questions. And I see other hands here, so we will go to them, if we may.
So I want to thank all the speakers. There was a lot to draw upon and ask.
Would you mind just reintroducing yourself?
Sure, sorry. My name is Maggie Montgomery from World Health Organization in Geneva. I just wanted to I had 2 points I would love to hear from the speakers more. One was on the moral imperative, and that came out through a lot of the interventions. And my question is, like, how do all of you here see that you're using that to convince leaders to invest, to pay attention, to prioritize? So that's one question. And the second, and it's linked to that, is this idea about accountability and monitoring. I had a nice chat with Francis and some of his colleagues at the break about how they're using electronic data systems, not only to kind of see what's actually happening, but to make people aware at the facility level, at the community level, and even beyond about, okay, these are the gaps, and this is what we need to change. Because often, as we've talked about, people aren't even aware of some of the very simple things that we heard one of our colleagues talk about that can be done to make these changes. So yeah, those are my 2 questions.
Thank you, Maggie. We had another hand over here. Stephen?
Thank you, Jean. And thank you, everybody, for the presentations
And
this morning. My name is Steve Werner. I am a WASH consultant, but I'm representing Rotary at this meeting. But my question's related to what Jamie just asked. I'm familiar with 2 examples. One was through the Methodist Church. I think there was a challenge grant offered by the Gates Foundation, but it could have been any donor. And every church, Methodist church in the United States, it might have been beyond the United States, was asked to set a goal to help fulfill this match. And then if you're familiar with Rotary, we've had a lot of success with raising funds for polio eradication, and we're very close to achieving that goal. But Rotarians were asked personally to make a commitment to that. And then later, the Gates Foundation, again, it was the Gates Foundation, but it could have been other donors, helped to match the donations of individual Rotarians. But as I was listening to all of our friends from the various Catholic health organizations, but it could again be any number of other groups, I'm wondering if we can make the goal very specific, because in those 2 examples, the goal was very tangible and specific. The Methodist Church was raising money for bed netting to try to reduce the number of cases of malaria. And then, of course, polio eradication was to just get the vaccine to as many children as possible to break that potential future cycle of new polio cases. So, and they were both very tangible and specific, but it really, I think people give when it's made, the challenges made in a way to make it understandable. Because if we talk at too high a level, I think we lose everybody. And the only thing I would add to what Jamie said is we need to be talking to leaders, but how do we talk to everybody that we have a connection to get them involved? Because leaders will listen if enough people ask questions and ask for action.
Thank you, Steve. I might take maybe one more question, then I might go back to our chairs just to see if Tebaldo and Victor would like to comment from your perspective on the question of the moral imperative or some of the other questions that are raised. So we'll take one more now, go back to our chairs, and then we're going to break for lunch.
Thanks. My name is Pavan Gala with World Vision as the Global Director for WASH. So one of the things I've just been reflecting on, especially today as we've talked about WASH being essential to healthcare, health, care, dignity. And some of us know, especially right now with the discussions about resources, has been a bit of a divergence in terms of where WASH is situated as we talk about health. There's certain governments signing health compacts, and not mentioning WASH. I'm just curious to hear, especially from the room, and also just sort of I think one of the earlier points that were made was what are the things that we advocate for coming out of this meeting and how that connects to the importance of connecting health, and WASH, knowing that without WASH, you can't actually achieve that care and dignity in healthcare facilities and beyond.
Very good. We'll certainly be taking that advocacy. We'll be taking that advocacy call up in the course of the meeting. That's an excellent point. Thank you, Parvin. So, would Victor and or Tebaldo like to just have a few words of reflection in response to these questions, Tebaldo? Thank you. Yes, Victor.
Thank you very much for those many comments. The point on climate change and administration and management, I think fits in this bigger system in which WASH is embedded. It has been addressed. Certainly, we try to work beyond silos, and the examples from Alistair Dutton were very eloquent, I think. Usually the dicastery is not doing or not implementing directly projects. Those who are on the field, they try to have this all-inclusive vision. Still, whenever we promote, let's say, the social teaching of the church and those principles, we are able to highlight that everything is connected. This is very much the spirit of the encyclical letter Laudato Si, an holistic vision. Very frequently, however, the dicastery is at the service of the local church. Cardinal Michael Czerny, you would say that we are not doing directly advocacy. Rather, we empower, we work with the church at national and local level. Those bishops, those Caritas directors, they do advocacy, they do outreach to governments and municipalities. So we would more frequently stress this moral imperative within the church, maybe working with technical staff, with professors of Catholic social teaching, with youth group, with catechists, so that it is clear that our faith aligns with our actions, so that at national and local level, the Catholic Church can bring this moral imperative in its dialogue with the local leadership and the national leadership. So it is not a point we usually directly do with governments. In other words, the dicastery and the Holy See are not bypassing the national level and the local bishop. Really a very, very strong point of subsidiarity. And to maybe a couple of lines about the precise outcomes or the precise ask as suggested by our colleague from Rotary International. Certainly this number of 150 healthcare facilities was chosen not as a universal representative mirror of the overall Catholic Church. Rather, it has been explained as a sample reflecting the needs of those who were interested, of those who were available. However, 150 still an achievable target and strong enough to build a narrative to raise awareness. So a concise message certainly today is it can be done. And this it can be done is not only we know how to fix a pump and to add a new filter. It can be done is also we can create this multi-layer ecosystem with so many partnerships which brings to those results even in Haiti, even in République démocratique du Congo. So it can be done. Hopefully it will be done also for those other 63 healthcare facilities. Thank you.
Well, I feel tempted to make a long comment so you cannot have lunch quick, you know? But I will fight against this temptation. trying to be very brief. I think some points to bear in mind. Difficult now to talk about human dignity from a secular discourse of human rights. That's what we have seen in the last UN General Assemblies. And it's a two-edged sword, no? That's how you say in English. The thing is that it's not as appealing as before. The concept of human dignity in the public discourse does not have the same power it used to have. But the positive thing for us, faith-based organizations, is that now a transcendental foundation of the concept of human dignity is in a fertile soil moment, because the secular approach to human dignity, in a way, it has given what it had to give. So a reformulation of human dignity concept, and from there, human rights concepts or approaches, and from there, advocacy efforts, I think will have to substitute and to fill the void that the purely secular discourse is leaving behind. Because right now, if you just say, according to the Convention on the Prevention of Torture, you are not allowed to do that. I don't care. I'll do it because I have the power to do it. And you have seen how there is this cascade effect, not only within, but between countries. So I think for any advocacy effort, not only in relation to health, but in most domains of advocacy issues related to human rights, we need to do this effort of linking the content of what we want to the very foundation of a transcendental conception of human dignity, which for us is simple to say, difficult to experience in life, which is we are made to the image and likeness of God. So we are all children of God. So I think that is why it's a time of crisis, but also opportunity for faith-based organizations. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to turn now to John to give us our marching orders for lunch.
Thank you, Jean. Thanks for hanging out an extra 15 minutes here. Lunch is ready downstairs for everybody. It's nothing fancy. It's what the Italians call un'americanata. It's an American thing. It's a boxed lunch. But out of respect, when in Rome, do as the Romans, they've managed to squeeze all 7 courses of your lunch into one small little box there. So listen, for those of you who requested specific lunches, halal, vegetarian, and so on, your lunches are in the coat room, one of the rooms downstairs. You'll find your halal and vegetarian lunches there. And maybe a couple of you who don't eat shellfish, I think you're going to have your lunches in there as well. If you did not request a specific lunch, please do not eat those specific lunches. The other lunches for all of us are prosciutto and cheese sandwiches, and a Caesar salad, and the other 5 courses, and plenty of safe drinking water down there for you. I want to thank our interpreters up top. Everything okay? And on behalf of the organizing committee, all the interpreters and the technical staff are certainly invited for lunch. And I want to thank Doctors with Africa, QAM, for your financial support for the interpreters and the IT, the technology as well. So thank you, QAM. And pop quiz, when will we see you back here? What time? Any language? 2:30. 2:30. 2:30, just over 1 hour. Thank you very much.
I would like to start sharply at 2:30, so please, if you could be here.
2:28. 2:28. Thank you, Jean.